Good morning, class. So for our topic today, we will tackle about the communication for work purposes. In this lesson, we're expecting to first create clear, coherent, and effective communication materials. Second is to present ideas persuasively using appropriate language, registers, tone, facial expressions, and gestures. Lastly is to adopt awareness of audience and content in presenting ideas and communicating ideas. Today we will tackle about effective communication in work environment. We will discuss here what is communication skills and why it is important to acquire and develop our communication skills. We will also elaborate here the different forms of communication. What is communication? Communication skills are necessary for the development of self-advocacy and self-determination for our lifelong success. They are how we give and receive information and convey our ideas and opinions with those around us. Communication comes in many forms. First is verbal communication. It is the sounds, language, and tone of the voice. In verbal communication, you are directly telling what you have felt or what is your opinion on one thing. Second is the oral. It is the listening and hearing. The example of this is the teacher and student communication. The teacher is discussing the lesson and the student are listening and giving her insights after the lesson. Third is the nonverbal communication. It is the expression, body language, and posture. An example of this is the sign language of the people who have disability. They are using hand signs or sign language to communicate with the other people. Fourth is the written communication. The example of this is the journals, emails, blogs, articles, and text messages. And lastly is the visual. The example of this is the signs, symbols, and pictures. If we had verbal communication, we also had nonverbal communication. It is the process of sending and receiving wordless messages. And nonverbal communication has seven types of signals and cues. First is the facial expressions. Unlike some forms of nonverbal communication, facial expressions are universal. They convey countless emotions without saying a word. The facial expressions for happiness, sadness, anger, surprise, fear, and disgust are the same across cultures. Second is the body movements and posture. The way we move and carry ourselves communicates a lot of information to the world. This type of nonverbal communication considers how our perceptions of people are affected by the way they sit, walk, stand up, or hold their head. This includes posture, bearing, stance, and subtle movements. Third is the gestures. This is the way we wave, point, plead, and often use our hands when we're speaking in an animated way. The meaning of gestures can be different across cultures and regions. It is important to be careful with our gestures to avoid misinterpretation. Fourth is the eye contact. Eye contact is an especially important type of nonverbal communication. The way we look at someone can communicate many things, including interest, affection, hostility, or attraction. Eye contact helps maintain the flow of conversation and assesses another person's response. Fifth is touch or also called haptics. Touch communicates a great deal. A firm handshakes, timid tap on the shoulder, warm beer hug, and reassuring pat on the back, patronizing pat on the head, and controlling grip on arm are examples of haptic communication. Sixth is the space or also called chronemics. This nonverbal communication refers to physical space. The needs differs depending on the culture, situation, and closeness of the relationship. We can use physical space to communicate many different nonverbal messages, including signals of intimacy, aggression, dominance, or affection. Lastly is the voice, or also called paralanguage. We communicate with our voices, even when we are not using words. Nonverbal speech sounds such as tone, pitch, volume, inflection, rhythm, and rate.
Facial expressions. Our faces are a canvas for emotions. A smile can express joy or politeness, while a frown can show displeasure or confusion. Facial expressions are universal. Whether you're in Tokyo or Toronto, happiness, anger, sadness, and surprise are understood without words. Even subtle shifts like a raised eyebrow can convey a lot. Eye contact. Eyes are often called the windows to the soul, and for good reason. Eye contact can indicate confidence, trust, or interest. On the flip side, avoiding eye contact might suggest discomfort, dishonesty, or disinterest. The right amount of eye contact shows you're engaged, but too much or too little can be off-putting. Gestures. Gestures are deliberate movements we use to reinforce or replace verbal communication. Think of the thumbs up for approval, or a wave to say hello. Some gestures are universally recognized, while others are more culture-specific. For instance, a peace sign in one place might mean something entirely different elsewhere. Posture. Your posture says more than you think. An open, upright posture communicates confidence and openness, while slouching can indicate insecurity, fatigue, or disinterest. Even subtle shifts like crossing your arms can signal defensiveness or discomfort. Body proximity. How close we stand to others can tell a lot about the relationship or situation. Personal space varies from culture to culture. In some places, close proximity is a sign of familiarity or friendliness, while in others, it might feel intrusive. The space you allow can reflect your comfort level and respect for boundaries. Touch. Touch can communicate a range of emotions, from a firm handshake that conveys professionalism to a gentle hug that expresses comfort and affection. However, the appropriateness of touch is highly dependent on context and culture, so always be aware of what's considered acceptable. A light tap on the shoulder could feel supportive or intrusive depending on the setting. Paralanguage. Paralanguage refers to the tone, pitch, and speed of your voice. You might say the exact same words, but the meaning changes depending on how you say them. For example, a sarcastic tone can make a compliment sound like an insult. It's not just about what you say but how you say it, whether you're sounding authoritative, hesitant, or enthusiastic. Physical appearance. Your appearance is one of the first things people notice about you. Whether we like it or not, the way we dress, groom, and present ourselves creates an immediate impression. From job interviews to social settings, dressing appropriately can shape how others perceive you. It's a form of communication that happens before you even speak. Silence. Silence can be powerful. It can indicate comfort, discomfort, contemplation, or even disagreement. While words fill the space, silence leaves room for interpretation. In moments of tension, silence can speak louder than words, acting as a pause for reflection or an indication of unease. Mirroring. Mirroring happens when people subconsciously mimic each other's body language. It's a subtle sign of rapport and trust. If someone mirrors your movements, they might be more comfortable or engaged in the conversation. It's an unconscious way of saying, "We're in sync," and it often strengthens connections.
How to achieve effective communication? Effective communication happens when a complete message is sent and fully received and understood by an audience. Good communication is getting the right message to the right person in the right medium in the right time, depending on the nature of the message and audience. Audience may have the opportunity to engage in the productive discussion of the message. Here's the element to achieve effective communication. First, the message must be clear, concise, and complete. Keep it short and simple. Second, the content of the message must be factually accurate. Third, the message can be a mixed factual and psychological aspect to give the message its full impact rather than just the dry facts or overly emotional style. Fourth, the message should be irrelevant to the concern of the audience. Fifth, the language should be appropriate to the audience and communication medium. Avoid technical jargon unless talking to another professional. Sixth, the message should be positive and focus on solution rather than listing problems. Seven, the language should invite appropriate participation and engagement. 8. The message should use the right medium for the right intended audience, the context, and the desired response. 9. The message should pick the right person, stakeholder to send it out. And last, 10. The message is sent at the right time, enable the audience to have time to understand and act on the message. The stage of communication. The sender develops the content of the message. In the process, the sender decides on the medium, written or spoken, and the format such as email, letter, leaflet, meeting, talk, press release, presentation, podcast. The sender then transmits the communication with the relevant communication channel, such as presenting at a meeting of the heads of department, producing printed material, announcing on a website or in the press. The message then reaches the audience. The audience will then decide whether to respond and if so how. The audience response will have a particular content in a format through their chosen communication channel. This may not be the same as the one of the sender used to transmit the message, such as an email after a meeting where the sender gave their presentation. What makes a good communicator? A powerful message needs to be delivered convincingly. There are three stages of communication to think about. First, prepare and well understand what you want to communicate. Next, be confident to the point and focus on solutions. Finally, let the person or a group you are communicating with have the opportunity to respond and listen to what they are telling to you.
And now, we have three component parts on how does a good communicator put their message across. So before communicating, make sure that our message and arguments must be well prepared, has full knowledge, and full understanding to make things easier to communicate with others. Then, we proceed to delivering the message. You must be confident, including positive body language and communicating with energy. It uses facts and well-founded opinion, not rumor, and make sure when you deliver the message, be honest on what you say. It must be concise, articulate, and or use persuasive writing skills. And lastly, it focus on solutions, not problems. Let us proceed to responding to the recipient. It understands the recipient's point of view, actively listens to the response, confidently defend the message, and you should be prepared to ask clarification. Is flexible in developing a solution? It must be a collaborative, not competent. So after we apply these three parts to be a good communicator, we have general effective communication achieves from the following. First, it applies positive influence on decision making by presenting a strong point of view and developing mutual understanding. It delivers efficient decision solutions by providing accurate, timely, and relevant information. And it enables mutually beneficial solutions. Second, it builds healthy relationships by encouraging trust and understanding. It ensures that all service staff is sending out the same messages. Are you still listening? It's okay. We have listening skills. It is just as important as communication skills in delivering message. This allows full understanding of the other party and what their response is your point of view. Good listening is vital for building strong relationships. To be a good listener means to fully understand and constructively respond to what the other party is communicating. Now, let us proceed to core listening skills. First, giving the other party your full attention, encouraging them to speak. And if you are really listening, just do the nodding gesture. Or you should repeat back what they have said but in your own words to let them know that you are really listening to them. You should acknowledge their feelings, asking for clarification when they do not understand. You should try to understand the other's point of view rather than immediately applying own preconceptions about the respond. Let the other party put over their response fully before you react and giving them time to express their point of view. And being cautious, remember, be aware from what opinion you are expressed when you're speaking. And last, being timely in your reaction to the other party's responses to your messages. So this is end from the topic. I hope you guys, even a simple listen, can appreciate us. But remember, always be a good communicator. That's all for today. Goodbye, class.